I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Senator Dutton.
Yeah, I guess more discussion than anything else. Members, the only thing I can tell you is it's like, here we go again. Over and over again, we hear about the need for bipartisanship. We hear about the need for compromise, but the actions of the Senate consistently show that bipartisanship and compromise are only desired when it comes to raising taxes. Originally, our staff received 109 on March 13th at 1:30 p.m. The amendments were 438 pages. The bill was 652 pages. The bill was initially scheduled to be taken up the next day. Ultimately, the bill was taken up Thursday, March 17th. There was never any real public hearings to review the language in depth or to determine the impacts of the legislation. On the floor, Senate Republicans raised numerous concerns about the legislation. We even had legislative counsel come to the floor, and I made that request personally, to tell us that our concerns relative to the inclusion of certain initiative language were not well founded. We pointed out that the bill made existing state prison felonies punishable by a term in county jail with no parole or follow-up supervision. In the end, you voted for a bill that did things like cruel and inhumane child abuse resulting in a traumatic condition only punishable by jail time. We were not included in the process on AB 109, and we were ignored when we raised objections and concerns. Now you want to rush the process again to address only some of the issues that we raised in March. Our staff did not get language on these bills until Friday afternoon. I don't understand the rush. I don't understand the call for bipartisanship. I would respectfully request a no vote.
Is there further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Senator Runner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I again rise, as Senator Dutton said. This fixes a few things, but it doesn't fix the majority of the problem with AB 109. And again, we're rushing to make sure this happens, yet we don't have the funding to actually do it. And again, more and more criminals will be let out on the streets. And, you know, quite honestly, there'll be lawsuits in dealing with this. So this does fix a few things, but it doesn't fix everything. So I urge a no vote.
Additional debate or discussion, members? Additional debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Leno, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to clarify, the fixes in here don't necessarily fix the difference of opinion on a number of policy issues. That's not what a technical amendment is. This fixes what needed to be fixed relative to existing law. I think we can respect the fact that we have a different approach to public safety realignment. The fact is, AB 109, once implemented within the next 3 years, will result in our state prison population being reduced by 38,000 inmates, which will then be managed by local law enforcement. We will save $2 billion of one of the fastest growing departments in state government, which is the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. About 20% reduction in the size of that department. Keep in mind that a federal court has ordered us to reduce our population by 40,000, or they'll do it for us. So this also attends to the chronic overcrowding that we have in our prison system. So there were reasons for us to support AB 109. Clearly, those who did not support AB 109 would not be supportive of the technical fixes which are before us. I think we've already had that debate. I would ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist? Aye. Anderson? No. Berryhill? No. Blakeslee? Calderon? Canella? Corbett? Aye. Correa? De Leon? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Evans? Aye. Fuller? No. Gaines? No. Hancock? Aye. Herman? No. Hernandez? Aye. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. LaMalfa? No. Leno? Aye. Ted Lieu? Carol Lieu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? I. Price. I. Rubio. I. Runner. No. Semidian. I. Steinberg. I. Strickland. No. Vargas. I. Walters. No. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. Yee. Wyland, no. Yee. Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Blakesley. Calderon. Canella. Correa. Ted Lieu.
Ayes 22, noes 13. The bill is passed. Thank you. Members, that would ordinarily take us to AB 94. One moment while I check with the desk. That language is not yet ready. That being the case, we will go to introduction and first reading of bills. They will be deemed read. That takes us to consideration of the daily file. Second reading file. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 499 with amendments, 412 with amendments, 6 with amendments, 53 with amendments, 450 with amendments, and 567 with amendments.
Takes us to Senate third reading. We have items on file, items 11 through 22. File item 11, Senator Wolk, pass. File item 12, Senator Corbett, pass. File item 13, Senator Corbett, pass. File item 14, not yet ready to go. File item 15, Senator Leno, pass. File item 16, Senator Pavley. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 381 by Senator Pavley, enacting to school attendance.
Much, Mr. President and members. Senate Bill 381 is a simple and bipartisan bill. Actually had a 9-0 vote off the Senate Education Committee. It's a measure that extends the sunset on existing law authorizing students to attend school in a district where a parent or guardian is employed, an option that has been available to working parents since the late 1980s. Senate Bill 381 would extend this provision until 2017. I wanted to remind you that such transfers are only authorized if both the district of residence and the receiving district accept the transfer based on certain conditions. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Calderon. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Carolou. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Mr. President.
Ayes 37, noes 0. The bill is passed. That takes us to file item 17. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 441 by Senator Vargas, enacting to elections.
Senator Vargas.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Today I present to you Senate Bill 441. This bill would repeal existing law that permits county central committees to distribute party contribution envelopes to letters through the county elections officials or registered voters. This bill has received bipartisan support. It has no known opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Senator Dutton.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I understand this is Mr. Vargas's first bill. And second bill, I missed the first one, but I'm just curious, how does this infringe on somebody's First Amendment rights? So,
We have a question to the author. Mr. Vargas, are you prepared to take that question?
Absolutely. First of all,
Thank you, Senator.
I guess the way I would answer is a day late and a dollar short. My second bill.
Thank you.
But no, I think what this does is really does clarify now. It's much more difficult because of the nature of primaries now. You're not going to have the partisan process that we had previously, so it's very difficult for the county election officials even to do this, and it has had bipartisan support. I don't think it in any way infringes on a person's ability, but again, I do think, I know that Mr. Dutton got up because he's a nice guy and wanted to razz me a little bit, but no, I don't think it in any way infringes on anyone's right, just the opposite. Thank you.
Thank you. Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Vargas will take that as your close. Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist? Aye. Anderson? No. Berryhill? Aye. Blakesley? Calderon? Canella? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Evans? Aye. Fuller? No. Gaines? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Lamalfa? Aye. Leno? Aye. Ted Lieu? Carol Lieu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Rubio? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Vargas? Aye. Walters? No. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye. Huff? Aye to no. Wyland, no.
Call the absent members.
Blakesley? Calderon? De Leon? Aye. Ted Lieu? Runner, aye to no.
Ayes 30, noes 7. The bill is passed. Members, that takes us to file item 18. Senator Pavley? Senator Pavley passes. File item 19. Senator Leno? Pass. File item 20. Senator Yee? Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 111 by Senator Yee, an act relating to civil rights.
One moment, please, Senator. Your microphone's not live. I believe you're okay now.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Senators. This bill, SB 111, is about protecting the right of everyone, including English speakers, to speak a language of their choosing. This issue came in 2008, whereby the Ladies Professional Golf Association announced a policy that all of their players had to speak English. And again, the question has always been, what is the relationship between playing golf and speaking English? And the answer to that is absolutely nothing. And so as a result, with a lot of outside pressure, we were able to get LPGA to later rescind that particular policy. What this bill will do is to codify that particular position, that no business ought to tell anyone what language they need to speak. And so this is really about protecting individual civil rights. And so with that, hopefully we can get everybody to understand the diversity and then appreciate that. And with that, urge an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist? Aye. Anderson? No. Berryhill? No. Blakesley? Calderon? Canella? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? De Leon? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Evans? Aye. Fuller? No. Gaines? No. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hernandez? Aye. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. LaMalfa? No. Leno? Aye. Ted Lieu? Carol Lieu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Rubio? Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Vargas? Aye. Walters? No. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Blakesley? Calderon? Correa? Ted Lieu? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Rubio? Mr. President.
Ayes 21, noes 14. The bill is passed. Members, that takes us to file item 21, Senator Kehoe. Pass. Members, that takes us to file item 22, Senator Leno. File item 22. Pass. Members, we have completed the Senate third reading file. And if there are other items to take up at this time, Senator Gaines, I believe earlier you requested to take up file item 42, ACR 25. Do you still wish to take that item up? Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 22 by Assemblymember Hueso, relative to California School Bullying Prevention Awareness Month.
Correction, this is file item 42. File item 42. Is that correct, Senator Gaines?
Correct.
Secretary will read file item 42.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 25 by Assemblymember Campos, relative to arts education.
Thank you. Senator Gaines, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Just wanted to take this opportunity to declare Arts Education Month. Having 4 of my 6 children attend public schools, I realize how important it is to have arts within our educational system. In terms of cultural understanding, readiness for learning and creative thinking, social interaction and collaboration, preparation for the
Senator
workforce.
Gaines, one moment, please. Members, if we could give Senator Gaines our attention, please.
Great, thank you.
Senator, one moment, please.
Preparation for the workplace and lifelong learning. Studies have shown that student attendance, performance, and dropout rates improve when students are enrolled in art education courses, especially for at-risk students. And education in the arts helps to develop cognition and critical thinking, which are imperative in the new global economy. The purpose of ACR 25 will declare Arts Education Month, and in so doing, California will recognize the arts as a necessary and important part of a quality education. This resolution encourages public support for arts education and helps to ensure that each pupil in California receives a well-rounded education. ACR 25 has enjoyed bipartisan support on the Assembly floor and the Senate Rules Committee. I thank you and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion. Senator Leno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in strong support of this resolution. Thank Senator Gaines for floor managing it. It is true, students who study art and music rate test higher in math and in reading and in science. They have higher rates of self-esteem, lower rates of dropping out. The unfortunate fact is California ranks 50 out of 50 states in per capita spending on arts and arts education. In fact, we rank behind Guam, who spends more per capita. We're at about 3 cents per capita. The state of New York's at about $4. And unfortunately, we see the results of that lack of support. So, my opinion, got to put our money where our mouth is. I ask for an aye vote.
Further debate or discussion? Senator Gaines, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you. I just ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist? Aye. Anderson? Aye. Berryhill? Aye. Blakesley? Calderon? Canella? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? De Leon? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Dutton? I. Emerson. I. Evans. I. Fuller. I. Gaines. I. Hancock. I. Herman. I. Hernandez. I. Huff. I. Kehoe. I. LaMalfa. I. Leno. I. Ted Lieu. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. I. Rubio. I. Runner. I. Samidian. I. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Vargas. I. Walters. I. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Blakesley. Calderon. Correa. Aye. Ted Lieu. Steinberg. Mr. President.
Ayes 36, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Members, that completes the second reading file, the Senate third reading file. Are there other items? If not, I am advised that we are expecting the budget bill AB 94 shortly, and this would be an appropriate time to return to motions and resolutions. Senator Corbett, do we have any items under motions and resolutions, including adjourn in memory? Senator Padilla, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ask that we adjourn today's session in memory of a friend of mine, Cam Kuwata, who many of us in the Los Angeles delegation, really Democratic officials throughout the state know. Cam began his political career working in the mailroom of then United States Senator Alan Cranston, and went on to become a member of the team. Then in 1984, when Alan Cranston ran for president, and he was involved with every single one of Alan's campaigns after that. He went on to work for then Mayor of San Francisco, Dianne Feinstein, where during the course of the campaign they forged a tremendous bond and friendship, and Cam was a significant member of every single one of Senator Feinstein's campaigns ever since. So the other clients included Senator Danielle Akaka from Hawaii, former mayor of Los Angeles, James Hahn, Representative Jane Harmon, and in 2008 he helped the campaign of Obama for president conduct and manage the Democratic National Convention in Denver. I had the privilege of getting to know Cam personally, as well as working with him on a variety of campaigns, not only the mayoral campaigns in Los Angeles, but even a significant ballot measure that kept the city of Los Angeles whole as one when there were forces in the city that sought to divide the largest city in California into multiple municipalities. I will always remember and be grateful for not only the advice he gave me, for just the way he would light up a room. With that bow tie and those suspenders and that big smile and witty insight. And to my friend Cam, looking down from up above, if I'm blessed to be able to go to Maui and play a round of golf, it's dedicated to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. We send our sympathies to the friends and family, and if we could ask you to bring that name forward to the desk to ensure that Mr. Kuwata's memory is properly memorialized. Senator De Leon, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I also want to add a few comments to my good colleague from San Fernando Valley, Senator Alex Padilla. I, too, also knew Cam Kuwata, and politics is a very, very tough business, regardless of your ideology and your political affiliation. But one thing is very clear, is Cam Kuwata is one of the nicest guys you would have ever met. As Senator Padilla just articulated, when you met Cam Kuwata, he always had a bow tie. He always had what looked like FootJoy golf shoes without the spikes all the time, and he was awfully nice gentleman. One of the biggest issues that he moved forward for California is he was the campaign manager for high-speed rail in the state of California. And aside from that as well, he helped manage the campaign that passed Proposition, Proposition, I believe, to be very specific, Proposition 55, the education bond in the state of California. He helped head that up here. And this is a gentleman who was in partner with a gentleman from from South Carolina, I should say, from Charleston, South Carolina, who lives in Los Angeles right now, Mr. Bill Carrick. Both these individuals, obviously, are the political team behind Dianne Feinstein since her beginning of being a statewide leader here in the state of California. He had a very droll wit to him, but he's an individual who never insulted any journalistic integrity with spin, and we know spin obviously is part of this game. So he's an individual, like I said, without a doubt, one of the classiest guys you would ever have the opportunity to meet. He's an individual who will be deeply, deeply missed, regardless, again, of your political affiliation, regardless of your political party. I had the opportunity to meet him decades ago when I actually had interviewed when I was in college to work for now U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein. I remember we did the interview in Venice, California, the beach community, in Los Angeles, and he was nice to me back then. And just recently when we got together, he was still nice to me now. He always was very consistent, regardless of any value that one had or one perception that one may have had on another individual. So he's an individual whose prayers are with all of us, his family and his friends. And again, I adjourn in the memory of a great, great Californian who grew up in Pasadena and graduated from the University of Southern California. That is the great Cam Kawada. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. Senator Strickland, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
I also rise in memory of Cam Kawada. I'm just actually stunned. I worked with Cam Kawada. I agree with the statements that were said earlier. Just a true gentleman, statesman, always wore his bow tie. And we would get together from time to time just to talk about public policy and politics. He was a political junkie and just a wonderful individual. We will miss Cam Kawada. He's a wonderful man, and my heart goes out to his family. So it's a dire loss for California.
Thank you very much, Senator. Members, I'm advised that we have language now on AB 94. Before we take that matter up, I am also informed, however, that yesterday was the occasion of the 50th birthday of our Senate Journal clerk, Paula Rossetto, who is seated before me. We celebrate today, and if you would join me in celebrating a half century of Paula Rossetto, the Senate Journal clerk, please. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, I'm informed that we have the language before us now on AB 94. If we could ask you to read the committee report, after which Senator Leno will, I expect, ask that we take the matter up without reference to file, after which I will ask you to read the bill, after which he will present on the bill. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. President, the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review, to which was referred, Assembly Bill 94, reports the same back with recommendation do pass as amended. Measure order to third reading.
Senator Leno, for what purpose do you rise?
Question unanimous consent to take up 94 without reference to file, AB 94.
Without objection, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 94 by the Assembly Committee on Budget, an act relating to criminal justice realignment, making an appropriation therefore to take effect immediately, bill related to the budget.
Colleagues, you may remember when we passed AB 900 a few years back to assist counties in their need for additional jail beds by providing $1.2 billion in lease revenue bonds. AB 94 will accelerate the release of these jail construction monies to further that objective, and it will reduce the county share of the jail construction costs of AB 900 from 25% to 10% for the counties. It also permits counties that have already received project awards per AB 900 to resubmit their applications under the lower match rate, and they will get funding preference. And then lastly, it also specifies that counties shall not receive awards greater than $100 million, which is already the case. This codifies the maximum amount the Correction Standards Authority was already granting, and I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Dutton.
Yeah, a question. There was 4 counties that actually had come up with a 25% match. So what's happened to them?
Question to the author. Senator Leno, you may respond if you wish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, that was brought up in the committee hearing, Senator, and Department of Finance responded that the lack of allowance for those counties was due to concern that the Department of Finance had regarding potential lawsuits. It was mentioned by many senators, any number of senators, including myself, that we should look further into that. But keep in mind, for example, San Bernardino County had moved forward quickly prior to any talk of realignment because they have great population growth in that county and they had great need for jail beds. So they stepped forward. They got their application for AB 900 funds first. They've signed contracts. They've already broken ground. They're moving forward. The question is, were they inappropriately treated because they'll miss out on $11 million with this lower threshold of 10%? The response also is that because they moved forward quickly and jumped to the head of the line, they got $84 million of state funds, lease revenue bonds, which will be paid for by general fund dollars to meet the debt service. There is no, prior to AB 900, no obligation for the state to participate in the funding of jail beds. So one side to look at is they lost out on $11 million. The other side of it is they got $84 million, which is not our obligation, short of our moving forward with AB 900. And it's not guaranteed that every county in the state will get AB 900 dollars because it is a limited pot, $1.22 billion. So it is agreed we should look further into it to see what we can do, but otherwise they certainly were not harmed. They're going to get a great facility ahead of the pack with $84 million of state funds.
Okay, now on my own time, if you don't mind. I am fairly familiar with this bill because Sheriff Penrod was the president of the State Sheriff's Association, and he worked extremely hard on this, on AB 900, because it was a big problem for a lot of counties with regards to jail space, and there was the overcrowding of the state prison system. There was also having them have a desire to want to work with the state to try to make sure that we have sufficient cell space or bed space so that we just didn't turn a lot of criminals loose on the unsuspecting society. And so there was a lot of work that went involved in that. And I remember Sheriff Penrod as the president of the association. They really worked hard to make sure that, I believe it was San Diego and San Bernardino and some others, but they actually stepped up to the plate first. Now, San Bernardino happens to be one of those areas that's got some of the highest unemployment anywhere, and yet they still managed to put their money together to go ahead and put in the necessary matching funds so that they could end up getting involved in this program. Now, they ran into some problems. I actually intervened on their behalf because there was the reentry facilities and other things, this nice little package that had to be put together. And so I did actually end up, intervening on their behalf in order to try to figure out why people weren't talking to each other, and we finally got it through. So it took a lot of work in order to get to this point. Now, the concern I have at this point isn't the fact that we're lowering the requirement so much, is that I don't think it's a situation of really fairness to those counties that in good faith went ahead and stepped up to the plate, early as that may be, it's still, there's a fairness issue here. And one of the things I've got a concern about is that what should be, during realignment that we've been talking about, right now, if I'm one of those counties, I'm going to be sitting here saying, well, wait a minute, I'm going to hold back because the state will sweeten the deal. Okay, so why should I jump up right now? And so I really think this sends a bad signal. And I would suggest that this be delayed and put over until such time we can make some kind of concession to the 4 counties that actually had come up with their money up front and have already got their money on the line, because they are truly going to help us with our problem. The rest of them haven't even started the process. So that would be my concern, and I would suggest a no vote or have this laid over.
Further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Senator Steinberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to make a brief comment in response to my friend and colleague Senator Dutton's concern about fairness and unfairness, and I take the point seriously. Certainly the policy is changing, which the legislature and the executive branch do all of the time for changed circumstance, but I think it's also important to step back here and look at the big picture here. I can understand San Bernardino County being concerned that they're not going to get as much money back in credit, if you will, as they might otherwise be entitled to. But this is really just the beginning. As we continue over the next number of months with our budget process here, and we begin to explore, not by making claims of this or that, but actually hear from county officials and school district officials what they are doing to make up for the lack of revenue that is probable, possible, inevitable if we continue to go down this track. This issue probably will pale in comparison to some of the other issues affecting San Bernardino County. The fact of the matter is, if we were to take Senator Dutton's suggestion here today and apply the 10% retroactively, the state would have to pay more money. Where's the money? Where is the money? Where's the revenue? Not here. So we do the best that we can going forward with the limited resources that we have, and we'll try to do right and best by every county in this state. But we wouldn't be having this debate and discussion if we were able to come together on a deep cut and some revenue strategy that would allow us to save more than we lose. Urge an aye vote.
Is there further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Leno, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to reiterate, folks, when we passed AB 900 with bipartisan support, it was all agreed upon that a 25% county share would be workable. We have since seen the economy change dramatically for the worse, and to better facilitate the execution of the goal of AB 900, we now realize we need to lower that requirement of the counties. That's what this bill is doing, and we want to get these $1.2 billion of state lease revenue bonds to the counties to assist them in their needs at the local level. I'd ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist? Aye. Anderson? No. Berryhill? Blakesley? Called it on. Canella? Corbett? Aye. Correa? De Leon? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Evans? Fuller? Gaines? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hernandez? Aye. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. LaMalfa? No. Leno? Aye. Tedlew? Carolou? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Rubio? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Vargas? Aye. Walters? No. Wolk? Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill? Blakesley? Called it on. Canella? Correa? Aye. Evans? Aye. Fuller? Gaines? Aye. Ted Lieu? Negrete McLeod? Runner? Wolk?
Ayes 22, noes 9. The bill is passed. Members, if there is no other business, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll go back into session Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Committees, of course, over the next several days pick up. Check-in session Tuesday and Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg. Members, the Senate will be in recess until 4 p.m., at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Thursday at 9 a.m. and check in for Tuesday and Wednesday. Senator Price, before we recess?
Yes, the B&P committee will meet immediately in 3191. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Negrete McLeod, for what purpose?
Yes, the PERS committee will meet in room 2040 immediately after session.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any other announcements, members? Seeing and hearing none, we are in recess.